All right. Now joined by the champion of this year's Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, the driver of the number 9 PNC Bank Chip Ganassi Racing Honda from Auckland, New Zealand, Scott Dixon with, let's see here, obviously we know some of the bigger numbers. Second win of the season now, 53 for your career, which moves you out of the tie with Mario Andretti, 14 now behind AJ Foyt. I don't know if we were talking about this earlier. This was the fourth closest road and or street course event in IndyCar Series history, just over a tenth of a second, 0.1067 ten thousandths of a second. So congratulations, another W, and you're moving up. Things are getting close for the championship as well.
Yeah, that was wild. It was a wild day. We had a good start. I thought things were going well, and then we came in for the first stop, and the air jacks failed, or the hose failed, and we went all the way to the back and got into the chaos in turn 5 or 6, and just got rolled over the back and hit pretty hard. And we couldn't get the wheel off because it was stuck on the brake caliper. So it took the team a lot of time to get that off. But then it ripped a bunch of the underfloor off the car as well, and all the strakes. So the car was bent and it was broken. But for us, I think strategy-wise, to take no tires on that last stop was probably the key. We were able to jump a couple and have enough fuel to get towards the end and to the end. But it was very difficult to drive. The car just had no grip. So each time we had a restart, I was just praying for another accident. And some of those came, some of them didn't. Another lap with McLaughlin would have been, extremely tough to hold him off. He was just super fast and I think just in a better situation. So really cool to have a New Zealand 1-2, which I'm guessing is the first time ever. So that was... Oh, what? Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. There we go. I forgot about that. Time flies. Proper? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the other one, he had no chance.
The numbers are, 6 pit stops, take a penalty as well. To overcome all that, you're now just 6 points out of the championship. So I know you're concentrated on the W here, the win here, but you're very much back in contention for a 7th championship.
Yeah, that's wild. I hadn't seen the points yet. These races can be all over the map. And honestly, we had a really fast car all weekend. We never really got 2 consecutive laps together, and we got kind of hosed in qualifying. And that, I was so angry after qualifying because I knew we had great speed, and we saw that in the warm up this morning that the car just had generally great pace. But this race is tough to read. Last year was much the same for us, where we just tried to stay out of trouble. But sometimes when you crash and almost flip the car like Marcus did last year, and us today where we ripped the back part off the car, are sometimes just good omens that it's going to be a good day, and worked out perfectly. But kudos to the team. It was a tough one, and these ones are a lot of fun because it's such a big team effort, and what we were able to achieve today was we got everything.
All right, questions for Scott Dixon. Bruce.
Were you seeing red when the red flag came out? Because a lot of people on your crew were questioning, whether that was necessary. Understand that IndyCar wants races to finish under green, but there were a lot of people that question whether it should have been a red flag.
I'm a racer, man, and I hate seeing, races go out under caution. I had the same situation today watching the IMSA race. I'm like, oh, this is, it sucks because you just watch it count down and nothing happens, So I know what they're trying to do. I respect it as long as it's the same every time. And over time, if you're in the right place or the wrong place, it will play itself out. I think all the drivers just ask for consistency, and that was very true from what we saw here last year to some other races that we've seen, and I think that's what the fans want to see. Ultimately, that last lap and a half for me was just so tough. So that's how it should be.
Also, Scott had more push to pass than you did, and he says he played it too conservatively on the restart. How perfect did you play it on the restart to make sure he didn't have a chance at you?
Yeah, I actually got myself into a bit of trouble on the restart. I kind of preloaded the overtake, and as soon as I took off, it just spun the wheels. And I think, I've got to look back at it, but I remember just like kind of looking at the left wall. I was kind of sideways, and I'm like, oh my God, I've just lost the lead here. But he must have had a similar issue where he just couldn't put the power down. So yeah, it's kind of fun that they add that with 2 laps to go, that it's it's open for overtake. Honestly, I think I had almost 50, he had 60 maybe, and you can't really use that here, on a lap and a half, 2 laps to go. So it definitely added to pushing some buttons and trying to hold all that power to the ground, but definitely made it fun. And I think I used almost all I had left.
Mario was here today, unlike Toronto.
No, I saw him earlier on the weekend. We had a great catch up at Indy Road Course, and he's just such a great guy and such a great ambassador for our sport. So I'll definitely see him hopefully in a couple of weeks, and I just love talking to Mario. It's a lot of fun.
More for Scott, Nate.
When you talk about that moment of having things go wrong, knowing that Marcus did this last year almost the same way, were you thinking that during the race, that there's a template here to win this race with things going awry?
No, at the time you're like, oh, our day's ruined. Our day's ruined. And I think, you're okay when the car is not damaged, but our car was pretty damaged. Like the steering wasn't straight, the left rear suspension was bent. The underfloor was pulled off. The strake we had to rip off as well, which is, it's hundreds of pounds of downforce. So I think we had to take 5 or 6 turns of front wing out of the car. So those situations, that the day's going to be long, and ultimately when it comes down to the fight, you're really not going to have a lot of speed. So we were just trying to get through all of it. You kind of hope for those situations, the good part of it, and it's possible, and it happened again today. So yeah, you always hope, man. You always hope.
I think it worked out well for you and Polo, and one other person who pitted like before that yellow that kind of caught Scotty up. Did you know McLaughlin had a pit stop that dropped him like back to 16?
I couldn't even keep up with my day, man. I think I went to the back 2 or 3 times as well. So, I knew he had great speed all day. And honestly, to get tires at the end, I don't even know what tires he's on. I'm guessing blacks, but, I knew he was going to be super aggressive. So he had to be with where he is in the championship. And he's been damn fast all weekend. So, that was a hell of a job for him to come, from where he did.
Just one more championship outlook for you for being 6 points out. I know Gateway is kind of its own animal, being an oval. Qualifying doesn't matter as much, but the qualifying for you seems like it's kind of been like an Achilles heel this year. Is that kind of going to be the key at Portland and Laguna, do you feel like?
Yeah, I feel like we just need to, like, if we have smooth weekends like Toronto, it rolls well. Indy Road Course was just a chain reaction of things that should never happen. And then here, I think my first lap would have got us through Q1. And then the 28 was right in front of us, so that screwed my first lap, screwed my second lap. I had to abort that, and then I got backed into the 6 car. It was just the worst situation I could be in. We missed by 900ths, but honestly, it was like a half-ass lap, so we didn't get anything out of it. So those days are frustrating, and that's why I was pissed off yesterday. That was some of it is self-inflicted because we went off sequence with everybody else, and that's what typically happens. So if we get it right, I think it's the car's fast and we can have great qualifying efforts, but it, as we know, it's not easy these days. You make one little mistake and you're going to be at the back like we have been.
Sorry.
You came in 4th in the points. It's a tight, lots of drivers. Did you think you were still in it before today?
Yeah, for sure. You're in it until you're not. I've been in many situations. I think probably the biggest one like that was with Montoya. I think it was double points back then, but we were, 60 points out or something, maybe more. So that's the point where you're never out of it until you are. So we'll keep digging.
You've raced teammates for titles before. 3 of you from Ganassi. One of them has a little bit of a strange situation. Does everybody get to race each other fair and clean going forward?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what you're referring to, but.
Would you like me to bring you up to speed?
No, I'm good, thanks. That's not my deal.
Just Google it. Nathan and Chris, go ahead.
I think I probably asked you the same question last year along with Hinch and Marcus after the race last year. I think we had...
You normally just ask me. I haven't won since this many races.
You haven't won in like an hour and a half, Scott. What's your problem?
9 cautions last year in this race. I think we had 8 this year, similar amount of caution laps. I know it seems like a really exciting race. I don't know if there's any way that the series or the promoter can do anything different to have such an exciting race with fewer cautions. Do you feel like there's anything that can be done, or is this kind of just what Nashville is maybe going to be?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird once you get into situations like we have. I get the congestion once you get 4 up to 5 and 6 because the decel is kind of weird, and if one car makes a mistake, then it's a bit of a chain reaction. The other 90s are kind of 90-degree corners are similar to a lot of places that we go, and I'm not sure why it happens. I think they did a very good job on opening the sight line in a lot of places, especially like turn 11, even turn 2 a little bit, turn 3. I think some changes will come in the future for, kind of that 4 through 8 section, once that construction's done, and they're talking about even maybe we'll go up another block and then take a left, which would be great for a passing zone as well. So I think, the adjustments that they did this year, especially the transitions on and off the bridge, were huge. It was much easier to get into turn 4 this year. I think you saw a lot of overtaking going into there. So, it's a second race here. I don't know why there's so many cautions. It's kind of weird. It is very slippery offline, and I don't know why that is. But, kind of we see that sometimes at St. Pete too, especially late in the day, late in the race. Restarting on older tires can be very tricky because it's very hard to keep the temperature in them. So I don't know. I guess it was one less, so that's a moving in the right direction.
All the restarts moving onto the bridge. Some of the guys that had come in here before felt like, at least when they were taking restarts, maybe more toward the back of the field, there was just so many guys carrying so much speed into turn 9 that had been shrunk down. Do you like where that restart zone is now, or I don't know if you have any suggestions if you aren't as much in favor of that?
It's better than what we had last year, but I had a moment too where you come over the top and then everybody's stopped. So it's kind of maybe a big accident waiting to happen unless they kind of make you go at the top of the bridge. So you still have a sight line of people that are in front of you, and everybody that you do see is accelerating. I think even on the first restart, I kind of slowed down to the cars that were in front, and then, the 2 behind me just went. So it's because they, I'm guessing, didn't see coming over the top, so a lot of it was some weird timing. It's definitely much easier when you're at the front, that's for sure. But there was a huge accordion effect coming over the top once you were kind of 10th or 15th back. So, yeah, I don't know how to fix that unless they go at the top.
We saw on the TV in here post-race that Chip did congratulate Alex. They shared a short conversation. I think last time we talked to you about this was back in Toronto when things were still really fresh. Does the team still feel fairly normal, or as normal as it can be given everything that's going on in the background?
Yeah, I think so. We're here to win. Everybody's trying to win. That's what I've always loved about this team. And obviously this is, a strange situation, and it hasn't changed for Chip. The pre-race meetings are the same, and all of our cars are trying to win this championship. So I know Alex is trying to win this championship as much as he can. It's in his best interest too. It's as it is all of ours. So yeah, some stuff gets a bit awkward here and there, but we're all here to win, and that makes it pretty simple.
Chris, go ahead, and then we'll go to Tony.
In your title seasons, you beat like DeFerrin, Elio, who else? Newgarden, Montoya, and you had a couple of close ones with Daria that he came out on top on. Now you've got power. I don't think you and him were necessarily the 2 main competitors in any of those years. How much are you looking forward to having that situation where now you're going up against Will after so many years of, either he's on top or you're on top, and now it's both y'all there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we've had some pretty tight championships throughout. I think probably from memory, you're right. Most of them came down to a Dario Will thing, or 2 that I remember for sure, where it came down to the last race. But it's, I think Will's done a phenomenal job this year. He's been much more mellow than normal, which is strange to see, but good to see. It's cool, So, he's doing an amazing job. He's going to be extremely tough to beat. Team Penske is always, they're the benchmark and ones that, you strive to beat, every weekend. So we'll see where it goes. It's going to be tough, and I'm sure the points are still tight between the top 4 or 5, and anything's possible.
43 points separate the top 5.
There you go.
With
anything's
3 races
possible.
remaining.
Yeah.
Tony.
How valuable is the experience you have with your team? Obviously, this is only the 2nd race that you've had here, but that experience in the team, because it's a day like today, yes, you win, but it's a day like today, you're going to look back and say that was a championship day. We were 14th, we were all over the place. come back to win it. Days like today is what championships are made of. And where does it stack up as a win on that like toughness level?
It was wild. We've had some wild wins for sure, and ones that you didn't maybe expect. But again, you kind of think more about the ones that got away. It's kind of weird like that. Like this feels great right now, but I'm sure tomorrow I'll be thinking about the ones that I lost or screwed up. So it's definitely up there as far as a strange race goes, and I think the issues that we had throughout, the experience is kind of probably the same across the field, right? It's the second race here. Most of the teams stayed pretty much the same, I think, as far as working with people. It is nice, to have the consistency this year with, the same 4 drivers. That's been a lot of fun to kind of start to work out, back to the days of Daria where you would kind of have a format, the 10 car would do this, the 9 car would do that. It's nice when you start to form those changes and understand, where those things help you. But yeah, it was a wild day.
How much you think about Indy and where you would be had, let's say, you finished third or you win the race?
Yeah, so I lost 76 points to Marcus at Indy. So I look, it sucks, but what am I going? I can't do anything about it now. Try and win it next year.
Take a few more, Dan.
Before the last restart, the NBC pit reporter spoke to Mike Hull, and he closed his comments about how good you were in those types of situations and how good you are at what you do, period. Talk a little bit about how good he is at what he does and the impact he's had on the tremendous success you've had in your career.
Yeah, it's a team effort, man. And, Mike has been a key in this team with the direction it's gone, the partners that we have since I first joined it in 2002, So, Chip obviously is the top guy, but, Mike makes a lot of the hard decisions and decisions that are week in and week out and is definitely very hands-on, So he's definitely been, that calm voice on the radio I think it's only been, I think I only didn't have him maybe for 2 or 3 years, I think throughout the 21 years. So, we understand each other very well. We kind of know what the other one's thinking, I think, throughout races like this, but ultimately we're just trying to win, and that's what this team has always done very well, is that's all they care about. There's no politics, there's no BS. It's just, how do we get better cars? How do we get, people to work together better and ultimately win races? So yeah, he's been amazing.
Last question. Go ahead, Steve.
You're kind of known for closing season strong. I think I just looked, you've got 51 more points over the last 5 races than any other driver. Any reason why you seem to close out seasons so strong?
Yeah, no, we do. Yeah. So I think 20 was the first time we ever started so strong. But yeah, I think all the other championships were really big comebacks in the second half. Trust me, we don't try to do that. We try to do it like 20 where we start strong and lead the championship from the start. So yeah, I don't know. If we could put a finger on that, then we would work out both ends of the championship. But it's tough, man. And I think it goes back more to how the team functions. They just never give up. And I think when they get into situations where they can, grasp onto it and, hang on to it and make it possible, then they never lift, man.
Our friend David Turner was asking on Zoom, he had the takeoff, had that same question about how Chip's line of never giving up really resonates throughout the whole team. So
yeah, for sure. Chip, even today was just, all 4 cars had a strategy that was possible to win, and I think that's more so at street courses where you have these crazy kind of situations, more so, and that never give up attitude. And that's what he was, we got the big ticket item of winning the Indy 500. It's pretty cool, I think, to look at Chip. He's current champion and current Indianapolis 500 champion, so that's a big deal, and we'll try and all we'll do is never give up and try and keep the trophy at home.
Add to that on the West Coast.
That's right.
At the end of the season. Stand by. We got 2 more things for you, but that'll wrap things up. Scott Dixon, the winner of this year's Big Machine Music City Grand Prix.
Cool.
Thanks,
Thank you.